All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Kazia Mermel, and I have been working together with my teammate Madeline Oliver over the course of the past term to develop a series of learning modules for graduate students on environmental justice. For those of you who have not encountered the term before, environmental justice embraces the principle that all people and communities have a right to equal protection and equal enforcement of environmental laws and regulations. In 2018, a student-led survey at Bren alumni found that over half of respondents felt inadequately prepared to address environmental justice in their communities and careers. In response, communication students from the class of 2018, Sara Salem, Erica Petroy, Sam Fertner, and Wendy Bagnasco, collaborated with Dr. Lisa Limbruni and Dr. David Pello to co-design a curriculum that formed the basis of what is now Bren's Equity in the Environment course. However, even with the addition of this awesome course, many students are still looking for more. In February of this year, we ran a focus group with a group of first and second year Bren Master students to explore what their ideal environmental justice curriculum would look like. I'd like to highlight 3 themes that came out of this focus group. First, students want to see more emphasis on listening to and engaging communities directly. Second, students want faculty to have better fluency in environmental justice issues themselves so that they are better able to bring their discipline-specific expertise to questions of environmental injustice. And third, students want to see environmental justice treated as a real and applied practice, not just a field of theoretical study. We sought to address these requests by creating a series of short and targeted EJ learning modules to provide graduate level instructors with basically the building blocks for building EJ into their curricula. The modules can be taught either as standalone workshops or they can be incorporated into existing coursework. So now we will share a little bit about each of the 4 modules with you. The first module that we designed is intended to be an overview of environmental justice, in which students explore the work of different EJ organizations, as well as some theories of justice from the academic literature. The module is structured in 3 parts. First, EJ in action. Second, EJ in your own words. And third, EJ in theory. You may notice from this that action comes before theory. This was an intentional choice because when it comes to environmental justice, a lot of the academic theory that exists has actually come about from observing the environmental justice movement in action rather than the other way around. In this module, after a brief case study on the Thomas Fire, actually, we ask students to dig deeper into a specific environmental justice advocacy campaign. This activity serves a dual purpose. First, students have the opportunity to gain exposure to some of the different organizations that are involved in environmental justice. And second, they get to see how social movements are often expansive enough to actually hold multiple definitions of justice concurrently. Finally, we present some academic definitions of different types of justice, including distributive justice, process justice, recognition justice, and capability justice. And then we ask students to reflect on how they saw these different sort of academic formulations of justice play out in the on-the-ground campaigns that they explored. The second module that we designed explores environmental justice in the field of environmental communications. This module is once again structured in 3 parts. First, EJ in mainstream media. Second, EJ in the field of environmental communications. And third, EJ in academic research methods. This module starts off with an overview of how environmental justice has been represented, or not so much, in mainstream news media over the years. Then moves into talking about how environmental justice is represented in the academic discipline of environmental communications. And again, where we see underrepresentation here. Finally, we overview a framework for engaged communication scholarship developed by Dr. Chad Raphael that describes approaches to community engagement that range from the least engaged, so basically just researchers informing communities about the research that they're doing, to the most engaged, which is handing over the reins and allowing communities to really be empowered in research. Although this engaged scholarship framework is designed for communication scholars in particular, it has a lot of principles that faculty or students from any discipline could use to guide the formation and development of community partnerships with community organizations. On that note, I will pass it over to my colleague, Madeline Oliver, to discuss modules 3 and 4.
Thank you, Kaja. So our third module will provide students with a basic understanding of how land use planning intersects with environmental justice. We chose this topic because many students from the Bren School and similar programs will go on to work in communities where land use decisions have created environmental justice issues, and on projects where land use planning can be used to remedy or prevent environmental justice issues. The importance of this module was also made clear in our focus group discussions. Module 3 begins with an overview of the current environmental justice issues created by land use planning decisions in America. Then we review the history of planning practices that have produced these conditions. And finally, we look at a number of local policy solutions currently being used to prevent and rectify EJ issues through land use planning. In this slide, we discuss the planning concept of zoning. We use the San Diego community of Barrio Logan as an example of how rezoning has allowed industrial activities to be sited within residential neighborhoods, resulting in high levels of air pollution and other negative impacts in a largely low-income community of color. After reviewing planning concepts and history related to environmental justice, we discuss 5 different policy solutions that students may utilize in their careers to address environmental justice issues at the local level. We use case studies to give each of these solutions some context. Our focus group discussions highlighted the need for curriculum related to EJ tools as well. So in the 4th module, we provide an opportunity for the students to engage with several tools that can be helpful in identifying environmental justice communities. We utilize an interactive approach to engaging with these tools and lead discussions on how each tool may be helpful, as well as what the tool's limitations may be. The tools covered in this module include CalEnviroScreen, the Global EJ Atlas, and the EPA's EJ Screen. For this presentation, we will just show some sample material regarding the CalEnviroScreen tool. After introducing the CalEnviroScreen tool and discussing the tool's methodology, we guide students through the tool itself. Instructors can follow our script and slide deck for this portion, or they can opt to guide students through the tool live. And this kind of allows for flexibility based on the instructor's level of familiarity with the tool, and also allows the class to be customized to students' interests. In this slide, we see a screenshot of the CalEnviroScreen app. And here we've zoomed into a census tract in Oxnard in order to explore the type of information provided by the tool. In the interactive approach, facilitators can sift through these information panes and select various census tracts based on real-time student feedback. In the preset slide approach, we provide screenshots of various elements of the tool, as well as a script with discussion prompts for the students. After exploring the tool together, the facilitator then leads a discussion of the limitations and uses of CalEnviroScreen. And this general structure is then used again for the other 2 tools. So thank you for taking the time to learn about our 4 environmental justice learning modules. And we're now happy to take any questions. And if you'd like, you can also reach out to us after today if you have any questions or comments.
Wonderful. Great job. Thank you so much, Madeline and Kazia. This is such an important, responsive, and well-researched project. And I have a question for you, which is, how would you hope that this might be used either at Bren or in another context?
We were hoping that it could be used kind of as a way of helping different faculty or instructors out with getting started on developing EJ curriculum, because as we mentioned in the presentation, their EJ issues look really different in a lot of different disciplines. And so we want to provide instructors who want to take on like incorporating more environmental justice into what they're doing, a little bit of a starting point. So we'd be thrilled if it were used at Bren, but it's also applicable at the graduate level or even undergraduate, probably in various institutions.
Great, thank you. We have another question that's come in. It is, what do you think is the biggest challenge in teaching environmental justice at the university level?
That's a really good question. I think a lot of it, again, has to do with the discipline-specific nature of it. And then also, I think one of the big challenges is that the academic world in general tends to really like to be objective and kind of a little bit distanced. And so I think a lot of EJ research and EJ communication and stuff like that tends to be really focused on observing what's happening in environmental justice movements rather than kind of directly in allyship with environmental justice movements. And so I think that's kind of tends to be a sticking point, especially when trying to form partnerships between EJ organizations and the academic community.
Great. We have one more question, and this is about what platforms will be used to share this curriculum, or if you have any partnerships for dispersing it.
Do you want to take that one, Maddie, or shall I go for it? I think so. We were originally going to design the slides in Canva, but then we decided to use Google Slides as the main platform for kind of where all of the content for the curriculum is located, and then also all the slide notes and discussion questions and things like that, because we figured that would be a little bit more friendly to more faculty. And in terms of distribution, I think we're still kind of working that out.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you again so much. Like I said, such an important topic, really well done. Thanks again.